So I spent hours connecting all the dots of LOTM Mysteries, and here's what I found out. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all my predictions and theories of LOTM Mysteries till episode 6 that I have watched, including AniNews cut content, LN Historian's video, the extras, and the C version. And I just want to clear out one thing, that any type of other content related to LOTM Mysteries that I have not uploaded on my own channel, I have not watched. I'm just a simple reaction channel who is trying to give his full effort into the anime that I'm actually giving reaction to. That's why I will definitely recommend you to see this video at least till the end. Give this video at least a chance. If you don't like it, you don't ever have to come back to my channel ever again. But give this video at least a chance and watch it till the end. So yeah, that being said, let's just start with the video. So let's just start from the beginning. We all know that Klein's parents are dead. His father died in a conflict with the South, and his mother passed away right sometime after his father passed away too. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Because here's the thing, among all the people who were involved, Klein was the only one who got transmigrated. There was Welch, there was Naya, but they were not the one who got transmigrated. Klein was the one who got transmigrated. Why? Why only him? Maybe it's all part of a bigger plan. It's almost like something or some other being organized everything perfectly to make it seem like a bunch of coincidences. Klein just happens to be a history graduate, which is perfect to join the Nighthawkers, because the Nighthawkers wanted a history graduate to decipher the old notebooks, because old Nile was the only one who was doing those stuffs, and he just happens to have the perfect personality and the perfect mindset to actually bluff and play the part of the fool in the Grey Fog, and someone who will actually try to reveal all the secrets. Is that a coincidence also? Or maybe some godlike being or deity is manipulating everything from the above because of its own cause? Now think about it. The day before he lost his memory, Klein went to Welch and Naya's place and was muttering some kind of chant. And we all know that they were trying to do some kind of dark divination or beyond the sacrifice. Now the question comes, if they were gonna do a beyond the sacrifice, then who was gonna be the sacrifice? And how did Welch and Naya got possessed? Or maybe it was not possession after all. Maybe it was just the property of the notebook of the Antigonus family. Anyone who actually tries to understand or decipher the pages of the notebook gets out of control. Maybe that's the case. And there is a possibility that the notebook is a artifact in itself, and there are more proofs as the video progresses. And also, why Klein was the only one who did not got possessed? Why he was the only one who was not in the position, just so he could escape from Welch's place so that he would not be captured by the police? Is that a coincidence also, that he did not kill himself on the same day but on the next day? And why did Klein run away and try to do suicide? Was it a fear? Was it guilt that he could not save Welch and Naya? What I think is it's all part of a much bigger plan. The future Klein has intentionally made the past Klein do this to achieve something bigger. Or maybe the godlike being I'm talking about, maybe he is controlling everything and intentionally made this situation happen just so that Klein could do the suicide and Zhou Mingrui from the original world would be transmigrated into the body of Klein perfectly. Because just think about it, in the real world also Zhou Mingrui was there, and he just happens to buy the ritual book. Was that also a coincidence? I think it was made seem to us and him that it was a coincidence, but he was the main target who would do the luck enhancement ritual just so he could get transmigrated. And maybe he did not even get transmigrated because of the luck enhancement ritual. Maybe we are made to seem like it and to him just so that he could perform the ritual once again in the world, just so he could perfectly find out about the Grey Fog and the divine realm. Does not that make sense? He was made to do this just so he could intentionally find out about his powers in this world. And how did Zhou Mingrui in the real world find the notebook? Maybe there is a being or someone who has connection with both of the worlds and he is manipulating everything, because it all seems too perfect to be a coincidence. Now let's talk about Leonard Mitchell. He always seems kind of fishy, and if you see his shadow carefully, it would seem like there are multiple presences or personas. So maybe he is possessed by many other spirits or a greater spirit that is controlling everything, and maybe he is monitoring Klein, the spirit that has taken over Mitchell, and maybe he is monitoring Klein to see how he is doing in this world. Maybe that same being that is controlling everything from the outside, or a subordinate of him, because Mitchell said that Klein is not special. Maybe he was disappointed by Klein, and that is my theory about Mitchell. Now let's talk about the peace tamer lady who did Klein's divination and put out the full card. It was also a coincidence that Klein got into the house to do the divination, and the peace tamer lady was also there who did it for free to Klein, because Klein was not gonna do it if it took money, and if the original lady was there who was actually a diviner, would not do it for free. So the peace tamer lady just happens to be there. Why? And why was she pretending to be a diviner? And why did she did it for free? Was it a coincidence? Maybe she is also a diviner who is hiding from everyone. Maybe she is also someone from the seer pathway. Or why else could she do divination? How did she know that Klein's divination was accurate? Because when Mitchell entered the tent, she was telling that Klein's divination is quite accurate. How did she know? And she was also wearing a clown makeup. Maybe it was just for the circles, or maybe it was not. Maybe she is also a beyonder in the seer pathway. Maybe. That is my theory. Now coming to the diary of Klein. On the day of 12th May, he talks about Mr. Azik's conversation. So Mr. Azik was saying something like all the creatures from the past, there were elves, giants and other creatures who are in this epoch considered to be fantasies. Maybe they actually existed and they seemingly had all the same language. Why is the case? Maybe it's all part of a destiny. Because think about it, on the next date, May 26th, Mr. Azik was talking to Mr. Cohen. There are two professors talking. Mr. Azik says events are coincidences, and the Professor Cohen says individuals don't matter. Are every event that I talked about previously are all coincidences? Emperor Roselle finding out and discovering the steam engine is also a coincidence, or it does not matter if Emperor Roselle came or not. And as Cohen is saying, it is all part of it, just a destiny. Maybe it is all arranged just so it could go to one direction. And then Klein also says that he maybe is more suited to study archaeology than history. Maybe Klein is choosing archaeology subconsciously because it's his destiny to find out about the hidden secrets and dig beneath the lies of reality. Now coming to the Dark Emperor stuff. On the 21st June, Mr. Azik mentions something about the Dark Emperor, but it all seems so out of place. The Dark Emperor was not supposed to be there in the diary, where all emperors of Solomon Empire called Dark Emperor. Or maybe not. Maybe Dark Emperor is a separate entity, a separate person who is like a very low sequence beyonder, who is like manipulating time and bending reality. Maybe that's why maybe the Dark Emperor stuff seems out of place. That is a possibility. And who could be the Dark Emperor? Maybe it's just a simple emperor in the Solomon Empire, or it could be Emperor Roselle itself, because Emperor Roselle was from Intis. The Intis placed in the Solomon Empire in the past. So maybe Emperor Roselle was the Dark Emperor, and he was specially called the Dark Emperor just because he became so powerful by the acting method or whatever and took over the other empires. Or maybe the Dark Emperor is a separate entity, but whoever that is, he has to be very low sequence beyonder. Or how else would the Dark Emperor stuff be so out of place, so anachronistic with regards to the time of the notebook which it is deduced to be written? It has to play with reality and time. Now let's talk about the author of the Antigonus family's notebook. The author made some kind of connection with someone named Tudor, who was apparently from the Tudor dynasty. In the next content we get to know that he took some kind of mission to visit the nation of Evernight on top of the Hornacis mountain range. Now the question comes, what was the mission? Maybe the mission was to kill the people on top of the Hornacis mountain. And my theory is that the people who lived on top of the Hornacis mountain in the nation of Evernight were actually the member of the Antigonus family. And the ruler, who is the mother of the sky, was actually leader or is the predecessor of the Antigonus family. And she ruled there, and the author who is writing the notebook of the Antigonus family is trying to do some kind of betrayal along with Tudor, and that is what was the mission about. And firstly I was thinking that on top of the Hornacis mountain maybe giants lived, because it was a bait, because how Klein was thinking that throne on top of the Hornacis mountain in the palace was not meant for humans and was enormous. So that's why by the word enormous I started thinking that maybe giants lived there. And you know, it was also mentioned like it is fantasies that maybe giants and the other existed, but it is before, like in the first or second epoch. But the palace on top of the Hornacis mountain, whoever people lived, they lived in the fourth epoch, so it could not be the case. Maybe the by not humans, C is meaning like very low sequence beyonder or powerful deities who is on the same par with the gods. Maybe the mother of the sky, maybe very low sequence beyonder, and that's why she is not same as a regular human. And she was the ruler of the Antigonus family. And now the question comes, how they all disappeared? Maybe the people out there were made to disappear. Maybe the ruler made them disappear herself to achieve something. Or the ruler along with the members were disappeared or made to be disappeared by someone else. Someone who is even stronger and more powerful than even a very low sequence beyonder like ruler of the Evernight, and because of whom the nation of the Evernight was whole, made to be disappeared. And the people on the Hornacis mountain believed even after a person dies, they should keep the dead body because it gives them blessings. It all seems so stupid. Maybe they were manipulated into thinking that was the case, and it was all part of the ruler. The ruler was trying to do some shady ritual, maybe with the dead bodies. That's why there was no burial found on top of the Hornacis mountain or any dead bodies, because the dead bodies were needed in the ritual. And maybe because of the ritual they disappeared. Maybe it was a mistake of the ruler, and maybe she vanished all the people or transferred them somewhere, and she was maybe captured or made to be disappeared because of the ritual. But why would she try to do the ritual? To awaken someone? I don't think so that a godlike creature itself would try to awaken some other godlike creature. Maybe it was to progress through the sequences more. It was because of the greed, or how the member of the Antigonus family took a mission to visit on top of the Hornacis mountain. Maybe their disappearance is related to that. Maybe because of the mission, the ruler was forced to transfer everyone just so they would not be harmed, or maybe they all were defeated and captured somewhere. And if the ruler was actually captured because she was trying to do secret rituals and everything is related to Antigonus notebook, what if the notebook, the artifact, is just a bait just to lure Klein, just so that the ruler can be freed again? What if that is the case, and the nation of Evernight and the Evernight goddess are somehow interconnected? Maybe the godlike creature that is like stronger than even the mother of the sky is maybe the Evernight goddess. That's why Klein thought they were connected. Or who else can defeat a godlike creature itself? It has to be a godlike creature that is greater than a other godlike creature, because even if the ruler of the Evernight was a very strong beyonder, she is not one of the 7 orthodox beings. So maybe she was defeated by one of the 7 orthodox beings itself, or maybe they are connected somehow else. Maybe when the ruler, whatever the ritual they were trying to do, the ritual was to awaken the Evernight goddess, and dead bodies were a vessel for her, or some kind of sacrifice. That is one more possibility. Let's come to now the grey fog. Now I still believe that the full persona that Klein has taken in the grey fog, it is all not coincidence. It's a part of destiny, or someone who is playing with Klein to achieve something bigger. And I also believe the full persona that Klein has taken, it is the sequence 0. Because just think about it, how in the tarot card the full persona was the 08 number card, but that is not the only thing, because there are 22 tarot cards, and in the Divine Realm, in the Grey Fog, there are 22 seats, and Klein is the master who sits on the central seat, the main seat, and he is the fool, which happens to be the 0 number tarot card. There are even 22 cards and 22 seats, so that's why I believe Klein is a sequence 0, and the other seats which will be filled will be the other cards of the tarot card, because the Hanged Man, the Justice, these all are also the tarot card, reflected pathways and sequences. And maybe the sequence 0 can be even the sequence 0 of the seer pathway. How Klein's power, the seer pathway, is all meant for manipulation, divination stuff. People's gestures have more knowledge. They all seem so interconnected. You know how the clown is the sequence 8 of seer pathway, the fool. These names all seems so similar, and sequence 8 of the seer pathway is the clown, who wears the clown makeup. And if you see in the tarot card, the fool card, the figure that is drawn in the fool card is also wearing some kind of clown makeup, and these all interconnected makes it truly seem that the fool is the sequence 0 of the seer pathway. And one more thing which proves it, how Klein directly saw eternal blazing sun, one of the 7 orthodox beings. And we all know what it leads to if you watch a orthodox being directly. But the power of Grey Fog, the full persona, saved Klein again. That just proves that the Grey Fog and the full persona has to be as the same level as a godlike being. And it was also mentioned that the 3 honorific incantation does not work on anyone except gods and angels. So even if Klein is not sequence 0, he has to be sequence 1 or 2, or the 3 honorific incantation would not work on him when Audrey was doing the ritual, but it did work. So he has to be at least below sequence 2. Now let's talk about the feather. That is one of the most interesting parts. So my theory is the feather is either the author or the true creator from which the other 7 orthodox gods were created. Maybe one of these are changing events and interfering with the reality, like something like Aizen in Bleach. Or the feather is a very powerful artifact which has the power to bend reality and interfere with reality. And in episode 2 AniNews cut content, it was mentioned that Dunn told Klein about some corrupted archbishop who has lost control, who stole some kind of very dangerous artifact from the church. So maybe it is just a foreshadowing. The artifact that the archbishop stole is the feather itself. The feather is a very strong artifact, and there are no records of the artifact. The artifact has to be very strong. So maybe the artifact is the feather itself, which has the power to change reality. And maybe it is all seeming us to like the archbishop stole the feather, because whenever feather has to change some kind of incident, it just comes. Maybe the archbishop is using it, or it could be the other case. The feather just used the archbishop to make it seem like it was stolen from the church, but maybe it was just part of the plan. And why the feather is only interfering with Klein's destiny? That feather is making Klein to reach the Antigonus family's notebook, because if you like look back at it, the feather made the child attracted just so the child could be kidnapped to the palace where the descendant of the Antigonus family lived, Ray Bieber and his old mother or grandmother, whoever there was. And there was a trace of Antigonus family's notebook, which Klein later got to know. Why the feather wants that Klein reaches and gets the notebook of the Antigonus family? Is it related to the top of the Hornacis mountain? Maybe there is a bigger plan which is being tied here, which we are not aware of. And one more very important thing, you would notice that whenever the feather comes, there is a slight writing noise in the background. That's how it tells us that it is changing something or writing something. But the main interesting thing is in the latest episode, in episode 6, if you see the reaction, I also noticed it, that there was no writing noise in the background. So my theory on this is that this time the feather did not need it to change the reality, because the destiny was correct this time. The reality was going in the right direction than that the feather wants. The feather this time did not need it to use its power to change reality, because the destiny is going in the right direction. And it all seems like the feather wants so that Klein can reach the Antigonus family's notebook. Everything is again being tied to the Antigonus family. Once again, the same thing. Why only Klein? Why the feather is trying to make Klein connect with the Antigonus family's notebook? And why only him, who is supposedly the transmigrated in this world, who coincidentally got transmigrated? It all seems too organized. Ray Bieber also was trying to do some kind of ritual with the Antigonus family which he had. He could not control it and turned into some kind of monster. So maybe everything is leading to Klein, because Klein is the perfect one who can do whatever ritual, or calling back the fact on top of the Hornacis mountain. If the ruler on top of the Hornacis mountains was actually captured by something or someone or defeated, maybe the ritual is to maybe free that ruler, or the ritual is just for something else. Now, coming to the diaries of Emperor Roselle, which Klein could understood when he met Old Nile for the first time. The diary of Emperor Roselle, which was found, was wrote in some kind of ancient language that most people cannot understand, that even Old Nile could not decipher fully and could only decipher some of the few symbols. Klein just happened to be a transmigrator who is supposedly from China and could understand the diaries because it was similar to Chinese in the real world. Is it also a coincidence? I don't think so. It is all part of a destiny. And many still believe that Emperor Roselle is still alive, and that's why there are so many journals and diaries of him. What if this is true? What if this is some kind of foreshadowing and we're just being misled that Emperor Roselle died? And if Klein seeing the diaries of Emperor Roselle is part of the destiny, it is made to be that way just so Klein can know more about the acting method specifically, just so Klein can easily progress through the sequences and become more proficient in using the powers of Grey Fog and the persona, the Fool. In 18th November of Emperor Roselle's diary, he did some kind of a blue sky experimentation, because of which he got to know about a pathetic fellow who is apparently trapped in some kind of deep darkness amid of storms, who can approach reality of this world in the day of full moon only every month, and yet he is unable to transmit his cries. He somehow is lucky to meet Emperor Roselle. So my theory is, when Emperor Roselle did a blue sky experimentation and he came to know whoever is trapped in that kingdom or storm or whatever, what if from him only Emperor Roselle got to know about the acting method? What if that is the case? And also Emperor Roselle mentioned later that he regretted not choosing the seer or the marauder or the apprentice pathway. Maybe doing the acting method in these pathways is easier than the other pathways, which could fulfill Emperor Roselle's missions and his targets. Or maybe these pathways are better for in wars or just for manipulation, as we know the seer pathway is good for that. And for insider knowledge, maybe Emperor Roselle wanted that. Now the question comes, why three empires together wanted to kill Emperor Roselle? Maybe because Emperor Roselle was doing so much progress in such a less amount of time, just because of the acting method, which people did not seem to believe, as we can see in his other letter that he is talking about some kind of children. Maybe it is not his own children, but he is talking about his students or something like that, where he like mentions about the acting method, how it's in the name, thus the name is a symbolism in itself, and how the acting method is more important than grasping the power of a certain pathway. And that's why maybe the other empires wanted to stop Emperor Roselle before he could get too powerful when he gets out of the reach of others. Now on the next diary of 23rd September, we got to know that he lost the connection with the Forsaken Land of God. That's why he was thinking about building some kind of wireless telegraphs, and he hoped that it would not be affected by the storm. So maybe the pathetic fellow from earlier, who is apparently trapped in some kind of a land where always storm is happening, maybe that land is the Forsaken Land of God. And why is it named the Forsaken Land of God? Maybe because only very powerful people can visit this land. Maybe the pathetic fellow, whoever is trapped there, maybe because he progressed through a certain pathway so much that he is trapped out there and has lost touch to reality. Or maybe some kind of beyonder materials, for potions and stuffs, maybe those are hidden in the Forsaken Land of God. And why I am saying this, because after coming into contact with the pathetic fellow, whoever that is trapped in the world, he got to know about more information. Even if he did not get to know about the acting method from him, maybe he got to know about this land where there are so much material. For why else ship would be transported there? Ship would only be transported there just so materials could be transported from there to here to build more potions and progress through sequences more quickly. And maybe the others does not have access to the land. That could be one more reason why Emperor Roselle was being targeted by others. And when Roselle did the blue sky experimentation and found that fellow, he gave information about this land, as I said, and that's why Emperor Roselle wanted connection with the land, even if it meant for him to build a telegraph connection. And it is also mentioned that since 5th epoch, the number of Beyonders are decreasing day by day. One possibility is it's because of the war between all the emperors, with Emperor Roselle and the other three empires. In the letters of Emperor Roselle also, we get to know that there are many Beyonders who will take part in this war. Because of that, in this war, so much Beyonders were killed that the numbers of Beyonders automatically would decrease. Or one more possibility could be, and it just proves more, that Emperor Roselle was transporting all the high Beyonder potions materials from that Forsaken Land of God. And when Emperor Roselle died, the connection got lost. So that's why Beyonders have significantly decreased. Even if there is a Beyonder, most of the Beyonders are sequence 9 because the materials of the higher sequences are not very available. That could also be one possibility. Now, a very interesting thing that was in the cut content. The clerk of our Nighthawkers, that lady named Roselle. So apparently her father died in some kind of beyonder case or something related to that. And before her father died, he told something very interesting. One should never think they can resolve hidden risks or combat danger by simply becoming more powerful or a higher sequencer. And it is somehow true. How Emperor Roselle, even after becoming so powerful, died. How Mr. Azik, even after being a very powerful beyonder, has curse of fate, and he keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. Maybe if the ruler of nation of Evernight was trapped, then it would not be also in the positive side. And also the fellow who is trapped in the storm or whatever, if we assume that he is also a beyonder, because if he is in the forsaken land of God, if he has the knowledge that to give information to even Emperor Roselle, maybe even I am assuming acting method, or even if not that, even about like other information. So from this we get to know that nothing good comes from advancing through sequences, becoming a more powerful beyonder. It's a false hope. What if Klein has a not very good future? What if he is going in the same path as like the other beyonders, in the path of his own demise? If we take in the account that how the ruler of the nation of Evernight was sacrificing dead people, who is presumably the leader of Antigonus family, and if Klein is being lured by fate and destiny towards that, what if he goes into the path of that and loses himself? Why the ruler was doing the rituals? Again, because I really think that was to not awaken someone or somebody or some kind of being, but to progress through sequences. And what if the fate, the destiny wants Klein to go in the same path? If Klein chooses the same path to kill people, to do rituals in the hope that it would help him to progress through sequences. And again, why I think that the feather, the artifact may be connected with the ruler of the nation of the Evernight, because we get from all this that feather is trying to lure Klein to get near to the notebook of the Antigonus family. If Antigonus family actually lived on top of the Hornacis mountain in the nation of Evernight, and the ruler of the Evernight was the mother or the leader of the Antigonus family, then all these things all more makes sense why the feather is trying to lure Klein, maybe to free if the ruler is actually trapped. In the beginning, why I was saying the notebook may be a artifact also, because all these things, everything is being connected to the Antigonus family over and over again, and to the notebook. The notebook is very significant, and even the feather is trying to lure Klein to the notebook. Now let's talk about the organizations. First, about the secret order. This organization seems the only organization who are not trying to awaken any type of god, but rather collect the Antigonus notebook and any kind of relics related to it. Why? That is unknown, but maybe they also want to do some kind of ritual with the notebook. Maybe it was also mentioned in the cut content that they actually had the notebook before also. I don't know how. Maybe they stole it and then again lost it also. How they lost it? I think that the blonde guy, the guy named Regents from episode 1 who was stalking Klein all over the city, maybe he sold it into the market, and then Aurora Order, the other organization, got it, and they also gave the book to Welch and Naya in the hope that they could decipher the notebook maybe. And the other organization who is trying to awaken the true god, that is very clear, they also want the Antigonus notebook, because as I am saying from the beginning, if you see my reactions, that the Antigonus book has some kind of secret written, maybe the recipe of the higher sequence potions, or maybe the secret to rituals, or maybe things like that. That is very possible. That's why everyone seems to want this notebook. Also, one more very interesting thing is that this notebook does not stay to specific anyone. It just seems like it keeps changing its place. It is not anywhere fixed. It is seeming like that these are all just coincidences and the mistakes of the authors. But what if this is all leading so that Klein can reach the notebook, and it is all seeming like coincidences, but again it is maybe perfectly all organized. Again, the callback, how I said maybe the book is a artifact, like it has some kind of powers that anyone, like a normal human who tries to actually understand or decipher the notebook, they get into the madness. And why with the reason? Because in this notebook there are secrets written that is not meant for normal humans, and that's why they got out of control, and Klein did not read the notebook, or again it is part of the whole bigger plan that we are not aware of. And let's talk about the Aurora Order. there is nothing much to say. Their intentions are pretty clear. As I said, they are trying to awaken the true god, and there are 22 oracles, the members of the organization, and the one we saw in episode 4 was Mr. Z. I think the other 21 oracles are also named after the other letters in alphabet, but I think why it is not 26 but rather 22, because the author is actually trying to show again and again how the number 22 is so significant in this show, how everything is related to 22, how there are like 22 seats in the grey fog, how there are 22 tarot cards, how there are 22 oracles, to show that the 22 number is so significant. Let's talk about Mr. Azik. Now it's pretty much clear that he is a very low sequence beyonder and he got cursed by someone, and we also saw in his backstory that all the spirits seems to respect him. So I think that it is just the power of the corpse collector pathway, because we don't know the what sequence he is in, but we know that he is in the corpse collector pathway. So maybe when you like progress through the sequences and go to very low sequence in the corpse collector pathway, every other spirit, like most of the spirits, seems to respect you. Maybe that is the power and you get control over them. So maybe that is the thing. And we know the curse is that he lives for a very long time. Maybe he is immortal, but I don't think anyone is properly immortal, and after like every few decades he forgets about his family and everything, and then fate repeats itself, and then he has to leave everything. And also this type of curse, like this is a very powerful curse, you have to think about it. And also Azik was a very low sequence beyonder, so this type of curse only can be given by a more powerful deity. So I think it can be also that we know that he was a knight, so maybe he fought with another like very low sequence beyonder, or in type of deity, even god maybe. So maybe in that fight he lost, or maybe he even won, but like while the time of dying, maybe that being beyonder, whoever that was, like gave him some kind of curse, and that's how the curse is here, I think. And in the episode I was saying that maybe Elizabeth is connected to Mr. Azik because the child in his backstory seemed similar to Elizabeth. I don't know, maybe they are interconnected. Also one more possibility is that Elizabeth, just when she went to visit the area, so maybe she got somehow in the contact of the rat of Mr. Azik's child, and that's how she got the nightmares also. So yeah, these are I think pretty much all the theories and prediction that I have made. This was not easy task. I made many more mental gymnastics, think about hours. It's not just a work of 1 or 2 hours. This is the diary where I have written everything. And yeah, I don't know how much of this theory or predictions will be right. They might all be wrong, we don't know, because it's only been episode 6. No, there are more 7 episodes left to show the worth of this reaction channel and how much effort I am willing to give to one content. To show this, I made this video. I hope some of my theories will be correct, or I don't want any of this to go to waste. Even if like one of my predictions or theory is correct, I will be happy. And if you have reached till here, if you like the video, I will suggest you can subscribe my channel if you genuinely like the video, or there is no need, you are not forced to. That's about it. Stay safe, stay happy, goodbye.